Hi everyone, I'm Carmine Jabri, CEO and founder of MA International, and joining me today is Curt Merideth. Hi Curtis. We are actually at a client site in New York City. We decided to take a moment and have a chat for our Emma on the Road segment for our newsletter, and kind of chat about the consulting world and how it all works, and give some insight into the workings here at Emma International. So I guess let's start, Curt. Why don't you tell the audience about your background, and you've been with us, as a subject matter expert for a number of years, working for different clients. So I appreciate you. But yeah, tell us about yourself and why consulting and all of it.
So been in the industry for 25-ish years now, I guess it is. Started out working at a contract testing lab, and then after a few years there, moved into pharmaceutical manufacturing site. Started out in micro, spent a lot of time in the micro lab, actually, building a micro lab at the first location that I worked at. And then, just kind of moved, as you do, through various aspects of the quality world in pharma. Worked in, quality assurance, some time in quality apps where I just had, I don't know how many different departments under me at the time, but quite a few. Just getting a lot of it's you wear a lot of hats, so you get like a lot of experience. But it is it's stressful.
It's a lot of pressure.
100%. And then moved to another pharmaceutical site in New Jersey, and moved there for that, and kind of picked up my family. We were in Missouri, moved everyone over to New Jersey for a opportunity there. That opportunity didn't. I was going there under the understanding that I was trying to remediate, the location and do some work there. Unfortunately, I wasn't there too long before they ended up, going out of business. But the good part of that is, while I was there, I met someone who, as the company was kind of shutting down, they brought on a consultant to work as like the quality head, temporarily. I was was director of micro at that location. So we interacted a ton. Got to know him really, really well. We talked a lot. Kind of introduced me to that world a little bit more. It's something I've always wanted to do. I just never really did it, to jump into consulting from working in pharma.
Kind of take that jump from the private sector to consulting.
It's a little scary.
It is.
You don't have that kind of safety net with you think it's a safety net, really it's not. But
I was gonna say not anymore.
No. All the things, but he kind of walked me through the process a little bit, introduced me to a few people. So I thought, hey, this is a good opportunity to try it. I'll give it a few months, see, if it goes anywhere. If not, then I can always, try to find something. And somebody that I was working with, he was actually the site head, had started on a project with Emma, that he, had some openings. He gave me a call, and ended up jumping on that project, and been working with Emma, ever since. So it's that's sort of how I got into that world. It was a great time just for our family and things, because there is like travel and things like that, that's required, and kids are a little bit older now, and they can not they don't need as much, they kind of take care of themselves a little bit. So it was a good time to jump into it. So
it's definitely consulting. I love the space. So I've been doing this for a long time. When Kira and I started the company over 13 years ago now, I traveled quite a bit, so it's definitely travel heavy. And I like how this new generation, they think it's all like remote.
Right.
We often get a lot of like candidates and applicants, asking, is this remote. No, it's not. You know,
Right.
like I mean, right now we're in New York City at a client site, and clients want our team to be on site. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of
presence
the
is
stuff
important.
that we do is oversight or like doing investigations or validation activities or whatever would require you to be on site and that travel. So it's a lot of sacrifice too. Like if you have a family and young ones. So, what do you like the most about consulting so far?
I like the variety. One of the things that I've always liked, like I've always been one to like look for issues and to try to solve those problems. So anytime I kind of get to a space where in my career where I felt like, okay, I've got things settled down here, it's always like, okay, what's the next issue? Whether maybe it's not, something that I'm directly working on, maybe it's with, some other department, start to work with them. I was always looking for issues and problems to try to solve, and there's certainly plenty of that. That's the whole job most of the
Yes,
time
yes.
is problem solving. So I really enjoy
That's
that.
pretty much all we do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like every single day.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the least that you like?
Ooh. Oh boy.
And add to
That's
that,
a-
like what kind of challenges you think you encounter
Yeah.
like day to day, or
I think the challenge that I see the most is probably at least the biggest difference that I see is working in the corporate world. Like there's a hierarchy and a structure there, and you're in it. You're integrated. So you kind of have you need something done, and you usually have the authority or some way to just like, okay, this is what you're gonna do.
right.
You know, sometimes it's a little challenging to use, some, you don't necessarily have direct influence, so you have to kind of just use, your logic and your expertise and background and, your knowledge of the requirements, regulations to, convince someone to do the right thing or what
Right.
they need to do. You can't just say, here's what we're gonna do. Sometimes you have that, if you've got a good relationship with the right structure, that can happen. But sometimes you have to use some soft skills, I would say, to
Yeah,
try
definitely.
to influence people to do what they need to
Yeah,
do.
it's almost like you have to sell
Yes.
whatever you're trying to fix, right?
Right,
Like you have to
right.
sell it to the client.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that soft skills. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. What do you think? Kind of, when working with client stakeholders, how do you go about kind of making the case for whatever you're working on, whether it's like a procedure or whatever kind of activity you're doing? How do you, we talked about soft skills, but kind of like how do you overcome those challenges? You know what I mean, and those roadblocks. And
Yeah. Trying to get them to see the why behind
Yes, yeah.
what we're asking them to do. That's, I think, the big part of it is just, sometimes it's very straightforward, and you say, look, here, read this.
Yeah.
This is why we're doing it. Sometimes it requires a little more explanation. You can
More TLC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you say, hey, in my experience, or I've been down this path and I've seen, maybe I've made that mistake in the
Yeah.
past, and here's what happened. Here's what happened to me, and you can kind of explain it to them that way. And usually I've found usually they're open. I mean, if they're bringing consultants in to help them with an issue, they know they've got a problem and they're trying to solve it. So
Most of the time.
usually that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Well, most of the time. Sometimes I'm telling you, it blows my mind. So we get hired by companies,
Yeah.
and they resist, and I'm like,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you're in trouble or you hired us for a reason, right?
Right.
Like you picked up the phone, you reached out,
Mhm.
so let me help you.
Right, yeah.
Do you, from like, your understanding now, how do you enjoy it? Is it,
Yeah.
so what's your advice for people who are, like peers of ours, who are thinking about it? So what's your advice, to them on this space and how to get involved? And
Yeah.
and whether it's like the right fit for them or not.
Yeah, I think, for me, it was, you know, some networking that helped a lot. It's a small world, it really
Mhm.
is. I keep you run into the same people over and over and over again. But, I think networking is important. Um, I mean, it is project work. So, I mean, luckily, Emma, you guys have a lot of work, keeping me busy. Um, but it's something to keep in mind if you're jumping into it. Is that, um, you know, you, I would say if you can as quickly as possible. Like if you don't already have, make sure you've got some, a little bit of a nest egg in case it's dry for a few months. I haven't had that issue, luckily, but I know it's, it can happen, for sure. But yeah, otherwise, I think just, it depends on what you're doing. If you have, certain niche and you're like, hey, I'm the expert at this, that's great. I think
Yeah.
that's marketable for sure. Um, um, yeah, I would say, just give it some thought. Obviously, like I said, it is.
It's a big step.
It's a big step for
Yeah.
sure. Starting your own. I mean, you're essentially starting your own business.
Yeah.
Make sure you get all your ducks in a row there.
Well, we even have a solution for that, by the way, with our
Okay.
international franchising.
Oh, there you go.
So we can even help, with that. So not just clients, but can
Nice.
help consultants.
There you go. There you go.
No, I agree with you. I think it's something that, I love the industry. It's a lot of, but it is a risk taking,
For sure.
milestone in your life if you want to do this, and it requires a lot of, dedication, commitment, networking, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Curt. I appreciate your time. It's quite, a pleasure to always, work with you. I know you work very hard, so I appreciate you. And thank you guys, and stay tuned for more updates.